The top three lock of the night candidates go 2-1 on last week's UFC Jacksonville card, and unfortunately, I went with the 1L out of those three as my actual lock of the night prediction. Gabriel Santos, he had a tremendous first round against David Onama, picked up on all judges' scorecards. He won the first round, but I thought by the second round, the main power from Onama would start to dwindle and Santos would be able to take over even more, drag the fight to the ground, and do some good work from on top. But Onama lands a beautiful combination and puts Gabriel Santos's lights clean out. So we take an L there. I wish I had gone with Brendan Allen, but the same concern that laid in that fight was a concern in this fight, in the Santos fight, which was his opponent's knockout power. Unfortunately, I went with the wrong side there. We did have a lock of the night for our PFL as well, which came through with relative ease, considering it wasn't really a fight in the Natan Schulte and Hausch Manfield fight. So we cash on that. And we're supposed to have one for LFA, but unfortunately, there was a fight day cancellation on the fight that I had chosen the under 1.5 with. So there was a void there. That brings our lock of the night prediction record to 53-16 on the year for plus 21 units and a 6% ROI. It's unfortunate that the LFA one didn't come through, but either way, we got Cage Warriors as well this weekend, as well as the UFC, and we'll have a lock of the night prediction for both. If you want to know what they are, check the link in the description below for the Patreon, the lock of the night Patreon. That's where you'll be able to find all of those exact ones. But the reasoning for this video is to give you guys my top three candidates for the UFC lock of the night prediction, and then you guys can choose from there which you like the most and which you think I will be doing. I just want to drop a quick note. The MMA Lockcast has yet to come out, but if you're watching this video and you don't see the podcast out already, that means I'm currently editing it and dropping it for you guys, but it should be up by Tuesday evening, so keep your eyes peeled. And if you're watching this after Tuesday evening, that full podcast will already be out, but I wanted to drop this first to at least give you guys something to ingest. All right, without further ado, let's get right into the top three candidates for this weekend's UFC lock of the night. First of which is going to be a violence bet. A little bit chalky here, but we got minus 260 on the Joanderson, Brito, and Weston Wilson fight to go under 1.5. This is a short notice spot for Weston Wilson, who also makes his UFC debut this weekend and is not that great of a fighter. He's 34 years old and on a 3-fight winning streak, although he took his last loss less than a year ago against former UFC fighter Teruto Ishihara. Wilson is also a training partner of Wonderboy Thompson, and I kind of like to call him Welfare Wonderboy, considering he tries to replicate the style, which he has done against abysmal level of competition, but then when you see him taking steps up in competition, it doesn't work out the best for him, and he ends up getting knocked out or finished. He's, I believe, 21 of his 23 fights have finished inside the distance, and only one of those fights of 21 had gone over that 1.5 round mark. That means 20 of his 23 fights have finished under 1.5. He either goes out there and gets the finish or ends up getting finished himself. Joanderson Brito, I believe 9 or 10 out of his 14 victories have come inside the distance, and most of them in that first round. And I expect him to fully crash the pocket here, land big strikes on Wilson, and eventually either knock him out or get a club and sub opportunity to take home an easy dub here. So the first candidate for the lock of the night prediction, a little bit chalky, but I feel like these guys match up perfectly for us to hit an early violence bet here. Let's go under 1.5. Second up, I believe some violence here, but I'm going to go with the money line side. And Bruno Ferreira, which currently sits around minus 185. I think he has a great matchup here against the UFC newcomer Nursultan Ruzi boev. Probably butchered that name, so I'll continue to go with Nursultan as his first name. But Nursultan has 44 fights of experience under his belt, but really not that good for somebody with that much experience. I am completely understanding as to why the UFC has held out for so long in terms of bringing this guy over, because whenever he takes steps up in competition, it doesn't work out that well for him. He has a very aggressive grappling game, whether it's from the top position or the bottom position, but that only works against low-level competition. When he's facing guys that can nullify that or are BJJ black belts and are still close to their prime, he really struggles against those guys and ends up getting grinded out or even finished in his own right. Bruno Ferreira is a BJJ black belt and has tremendous knockout power in his punches, just as we saw in his short notice UFC debut against Gregory Rodriguez earlier this year to bring his undefeated record to 10-0. I think he is way better than Nursultan pretty much everywhere in this matchup. And I'd be surprised if this fight even hits that over 1.5 mark. So if you want to go with the under 1.5, I don't blame you either. But I fully expect Bruno Ferreira to do Hulk smash shit by going out there and absolutely starching Nursultan Ruzi boev, again, butchering his name, probably within the first round here. But at minus 185, I think that line is a steal considering the skill gap I see here. Again, experience advantage on the Nursultan side. Don't get me wrong, but level of experience against legitimate opponents, very low level on the Ruzi boev side. You can almost say the same thing about Ferreira as well, but skill for skill and threat against threat, I believe Bruno Ferreira is the side here. And I'm, again, minus 185, great line there. Last candidate for the lock of the night prediction for UFC Vegas 76 is going to be on the main card with Miss Melissa Gatto. She's currently sitting around minus 230 against Ariane Lipsky, who had a career best performance last time around against JJ Aldrich. However, if she had lost that fight, she'd probably looking at a much steeper line here. And I think that we're getting some recency bias here as to why Gatto is only around that minus 230 range. Again, still a little bit chalky, but I really like this spot for her. I think her aggressiveness and ability to dictate the pace in her fights will allow her to keep Lipsky uncomfortable. And even though Lipsky might have a technical striking advantage in this matchup, I don't think she'll be able to keep up with the aggressiveness, pace, and output from Melissa Gatto. Not to mention, I fully expect Gatto to drag this fight into the grappling realm, where I think she has a tremendous advantage over Lipsky, who's been trying to make improvements in that realm. But it hasn't worked out for her in the past against other grapplers like Montana De La Rosa, for example. But I fully expect Gatto to take full advantage of that, drag this fight to the ground, do big damage from on top, and eventually find a finish, just as the last 3 losses on Lipsky's record have shown. So give me Melissa Gatto as the last candidate for the lock of the night prediction. There you guys go. Again, an action-packed week full of content for you guys coming your way. Tomorrow, aka Wednesday, we'll have main event mayhem coming through as well. Thursday, we got the Locky 2-step, and Friday, the 3 best prop bets. And oh wait, there's also a Cage Warriors card this week, which means there'll be additional written breakdowns on the Patreon. Link in the description below. Make sure you guys check that out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for main event mayhem. Peace.